George. Johnny. Here we go. Here we go.
Swooped in.
What a sight!
24 teams ready to go all out.
First time ever, we have 24 teams at a Rugby World Cup. Dan Carter talks about individual stories, collective stories. Well, there's many more to come of those. Let's take a look at the 24 teams. Based on their world rankings as of this past, the 1st of December 2025, the 24 teams have been placed into 4 bands of 6 teams according to their rankings, and let's have a look at those bands. The big dogs are there, South Africa and New Zealand, the finalists from our previous World Cup in Band 1, alongside England, Ireland and France, and the impressive Argentina. Band 2, the hosts Australia slip in there, ranked 7 as of Monday. Fiji make it through with Scotland, Italy, Wales and Japan make it into Band 2 right at the end of the ranking system. Georgia, Uruguay, Spain, USA, Chile and Tonga in Band 3. Band 4, Samoa, Portugal, Romania, Hong Kong, China for the first time ever, Zimbabwe return and Canada round out our 24 teams and Band 4. What an outstanding matchup we have right throughout these bands. Some teams just making it through. Samoa did it tough, didn't they, all the way through to repechage, and they did an outstanding job to make it through. But we, of course, want to know what we're going to do with those teams. What pools will they end up in? Starting from Band 4, teams in these bands will randomly be drawn and placed in pools. And you know, this is the most important part that we want to see about where the team you support ends up. Pools A, B, C, D, E and F. So one team from each of those 4 bands into those. And of course, Australia as hosts, they will be pre-placed from Band 2 into Pool A. The hosts are in Pool A. James Slipper there confirming that the hosts will slip straight in there as Pool A, the second team into there. Before we get started with the draw, we of course want to acknowledge that we have our scrutineer here from BDO to make sure, they've already made sure that all of the teams have been placed into the correct buckets, and they will also be supervising to make sure that we do the right thing in drawing these out randomly so that you can be confident your team is placed where they should be. So now it's time for the exciting part. Where will your team end up in their Rugby World Cup pool? Let's kick off the draw. Now, what we will do straight away is go to the great man himself, Dan Carter, will draw out the 6 teams from Band 4. The first team drawn will go straight into Pool F. Dan, if you can pull out the first team, Band 4, Pool F, who will it be?
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. They will return to the Rugby World Cup via their win in the Africa Men's Cup Champions competition. The first time in over 35 years after last appearing at the tournament in 1991. Dan, who from Band 4 will now go into Pool E.
Samoa.
Samoa, we mentioned how hard it was for them to get there. The last team to qualify for Men's Rugby World Cup, with 2027 Australia marking their 10th appearance at rugby's pinnacle competition, having featured in every tournament since 1991. Dan, who's going into Pool D?
Portugal.
Portugal, their qualification marks their 3rd Rugby World Cup appearance, backing up from an impressive campaign in 2023. Pool C, Dan Carter, from this Band 4 cohort, please.
Canada.
Canada take part in their 10th Rugby World Cup, returning after missing the last edition in 2023. They will aim to replicate history in Australia by reaching the knockout phase, which they did in 1991. Who's next, Dan, out of Band 4?
Romania.
Romania will make their 10th appearance at the tournament, further cementing their legacy in the competition. And if we've done it right, Dan Carter, the last team to come out into Pool A should be
Hong Kong, China.
Hong Kong, China. They'll make their Rugby World Cup debut after winning the Asia Rugby Men's Championship, making history as only the 2nd ever side to qualify for the tournament from Asia. Well done, Dan. Successfully done there for all those Band 4 nations. Now over to you, Alicia Lucas. No pressure, no pressure. Dan showed it's very, very doable. So, of course, now your first team that comes out from Band 3 will go into Pool F.
Tonga.
Tonga will come straight into Pool F. They'll take part in their 10th Rugby World Cup, having competed in every single edition bar the one in 1991. Good work mixing it up. We'll draw that one out. This will be for Pool E.
USA.
They're the USA Men's Rugby World Cup hosts for 2031. The USA will appear in their 9th Rugby World Cup, having last competed at Japan 2019. Next one out will be Pool D.
Uruguay.
Uruguay return for their 6th Rugby World Cup after winning the Sudamericano in 2025. Great to see them back at a Rugby World Cup. The next team to come out, Alicia Lucas, will be
Spain.
Spain will take part in their 2nd Rugby World Cup and their 1st in the 21st century. After last competing at the tournament in 1999, a huge milestone for Spanish rugby, and they're very welcome at the Rugby World Cup in 2027.
Georgia.
Georgia go into Pool B. They booked their spot as winners of the Rugby Europe Men's Championship, qualifying for their 7th consecutive Rugby World Cup, 24 years after their debut in Australia in 2003. And Alicia Lucas, who do we have that will come out and go into?
Chile.
Chile go into Pool A. And of course, remembering that Australia are already in there. Chile, outstanding in making their Rugby World Cup in 2023, became the 23rd team to qualify by beating Samoa in a 2-leg playoff, ensuring a record 5 teams from the Americas will appear in the Australia 2027 lineup. Well done, Alicia. You got through the work there. Now the pressure goes on to the great man himself, James Slipper. Band 2, a lot of quality there. The rankings from 7 to 12.
Definitely.
Remembering Australia already done. The first one out will go into Pool F.
Wales.
Wales go into Pool F, the three-time semi-finalists and ever-present Wales return for their 11th Rugby World Cup. Pool E, please, James Slipper from this band 2.
Japan.
Japan, they'll be aiming to replicate history in Australia by reaching the quarterfinals, a feat that they achieved as hosts in 2019. They go into Pool E. Pool D now from James Slipper, and he has pulled out.
Scotland.
Scotland have played at every Rugby World Cup and are aiming to beat that fourth place finish they achieved in 1991. Pool C now from Band 2.
Fiji.
Fiji, three-time quarter-finalists. Fiji will be aiming for at least the Final Four as they return for their 10th attempt at Rugby World Cup glory.
Italy.
And Italy have not missed a World Cup and hope to reach the knockout stage for the very first time at Australia 2027. Well done, James Slipper. And now, of course, with Australia already being in Pool A, you're starting to see who your preferred team will be playing. And the Big Six now, Band 1. And we go to the boss, of course, World Rugby Chair, Brett Robinson. Who is he going to pull out? Pool F, Band 1, the first team into Pool F to complete that pool.
England.
Is England. They'll be looking to replicate their success from the last Rugby World Cup hosted by Australia back in 2003, where they lifted the trophy for their first and only time. Pool E from the Band 1 cohort, please.
France.
France have been the runner-up 3 times, and after a painful ending as hosts in 2023, they are well placed to go one step further when they come down to Australia in 2027.
Ireland.
Ireland, 8-time quarter-finalists. Ireland are back for their 11th attempt at Rugby World Cup glory. They'll be a well-supported team. Into Pool C, Band 1 to join Canada, Fiji and Spain.
Argentina.
Argentina. They've appeared at every Rugby World Cup to date, and their impressive current form has them primed to better their third-place playoff victory in 2007 in France. Pool B, there's some big names left.
South Africa.
There they are, the 4-time Rugby World Cup champion. South Africa will be looking to become the first to win 3 consecutive tournaments after those outstanding successes in 2019 and 2023. And then if we've done this right, and our scrutineers will be happy, in Pool A will be
New Zealand.
New Zealand. 3-time Men's Rugby World Cup winners, New Zealand will be looking to go a step further than their 1-point final loss in France in 2023. All 24 of our teams are now placed into their pools. And of course, the big names came out very, very late there. That concludes the draw for Rugby World Cup 2027. Rugby fans, you now know who those teams will be playing in those pools. Thank you to Dan and Alicia, to Slips and Brett for all of your help. Take a moment now to review those pools in their entirety and see who will be facing off against who.